Welcome to our show, Hong Kong Brief. Today, we've got some fascinating stories lined up for you. First up, the US dollar is making a grand comeback as central banks around the world plan to increase their asset allocation to the greenback over the next 12 to 24 months. This shift comes at the expense of China's renminbi, which is seeing a significant drop in interest from these financial institutions. It's a dynamic change in the global financial landscape that could have long-term implications for international markets. Next, we're diving into the banking sector in Hong Kong, where mainland Chinese customers are moving billions into local banks like HSBC and Bank of China, Hong Kong, in search of higher yields. This influx is a much-needed boost for Hong Kong's economy, which has been recovering from the dual impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic and political unrest. Lastly, we explore the culinary world where the secret to great Chinese food is revealed to be in the sauces. Ready-made condiments, often considered flavor bombs, are essential in creating delicious Cantonese dishes and are a staple in every Chinese household. These sauces are not just for traditional dishes, they are also being used innovatively in Western cuisine, adding unique umami profiles to a variety of meals. Please stay tuned for more detailed coverage. The Sydney Morning Herald reports a notable resurgence of the US dollar's popularity among central banks, which is happening at the expense of the Chinese renminbi. A recent survey of 73 central banks, managing $5.4 trillion in reserves, reveals that 18% plan to increase their US dollar holdings in the next 1 to 2 years, tripling the figure from the previous year. Conversely, 12% of the central banks intend to reduce their renminbi allocations. This shift marks a reversal from the past trend where the renminbi's appeal was on the rise. China's efforts to bolster its currency's reserve status include promoting its use in trade and creating regional payment systems. However, geopolitical tensions, such as US sanctions on Chinese entities and the freezing of Russian reserves, have unsettled many nations. Despite the current favor towards the US dollar, central banks foresee a gradual decline in its dominance over the next decade, with a modest increase in renminbi holdings. Japan Times highlights a significant influx of mainland Chinese moving their wealth into Hong Kong banks, driven by the pursuit of higher yields. HSBC Holdings plc saw over 130,000 new customers in Hong Kong in the first quarter, while Bank of China, Hong Kong, gained 200,000 new cross-border clients in 2023. Hang Seng Bank experienced a 342% increase in new account openings for non-residents last year. This migration provides a much-needed boost for Hong Kong, which has been grappling with the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic and years of political turmoil. The influx of mainland Chinese clients is a bright spot for the city's financial sector, helping it recover and thrive amidst challenging circumstances. South China Morning Post delves into the secrets of Chinese cooking, emphasizing the transformative power of ready-made condiments. These jars of sauces, often found in household pantries and grocery store shelves, can elevate any dish from bland to delectable. The article reminisces about the author's childhood fascination with their mother's extensive collection of sauces and how these condiments are essential for authentic Cantonese cuisine. Hoisin sauce, black bean sauce, and oyster sauce are staples that add depth and complexity to dishes. The piece also explores regional variations in condiments, such as Sichuan's mala chili oil and Chiu Chow's sha cha. The author shares personal experiments with these sauces, like using dried shrimp paste in a Caesar salad dressing, demonstrating the versatility and creativity that these condiments inspire in both traditional and fusion cooking. South China Morning Post. 6 of 7 public universities in Hong Kong have risen in the global rankings, with the University of Hong Kong, HKU, achieving its highest position ever at 17th place. Ben Soter from Quacquarelli Simons, QS, praised the universities for their improved reputation among employers and research performance. Despite these successes, Hong Kong faces challenges in boosting employment outcomes for graduates. The Chinese University of Hong Kong, CUHK, and Hong Kong University of Science and Technology also saw significant jumps, with CUHK reaching its best ranking since 2010. PolyU and CityU improved their standings, while Baptist University rose from 295th to 252nd. Lingnan University was the only one to drop in rank. HUS highlighted Hong Kong's strong academic reputation and research output, with CityU and GUST ranking highly in research citations per faculty. Globally, MIT remained the top university, followed by Imperial College London, University of Oxford, and Harvard University. CUHK President Rocky Tuan attributed their success to the commitment of staff and students, and leaders from other universities echoed similar sentiments about their dedication to excellence. South China Morning Post. A survey by Schroders revealed that the average Hong Konger faces a 2.4 million Hong Kong dollars, $300,000 gap between expected post-retirement expenses and pension savings, prompting nearly three-quarters to consider working beyond retirement age. This mirrors findings from an HSBC survey, which showed 70% of respondents expected to work past the unofficial retirement age of 60 to 65. Schroders' Leslie Ann Morgan noted that while longer work lives aren't ideal, Hong Kongers' long life expectancy, 83 years for men and 88.7 for women, partly explains the shortfall. Most retirees only save enough for 15 years, despite needing funds for 20 years or more. Roger Lau from Schroders advised starting retirement planning early and choosing high-growth investments while young. The city's Mandatory Provident Fund, MPF, has an average of 258,700 Hong Kong dollars per member, with improved investment returns of 6.3% in the first 5 months of the year. Respondents now expect a 5.7% return on their MPF investments, up from 3.7% in 2018, but still worry about market downturns, healthcare costs, and inflation. SCMP opinion. Hong Kong's high-speed rail travel has received a boost with the introduction of overnight sleeper trains to Beijing and Shanghai, cutting travel time significantly. The journey to Beijing West Station now takes about 12.5 hours, and to Shanghai Hongqiao Station 11 hours and 14 minutes, compared to the previous 24.5 and 19.5 hours. New services to Hunan Province, including popular destinations like Zhangjiajie and Fenghuang Ancient Town, have also been introduced. The sleeper trains, available from Friday to Monday, offer more options alongside current daytime services. Passengers benefit from one-stop joint customs clearance at West Kowloon Station, arriving at their destinations early and saving on hotel costs. Despite initial controversies over funding and construction costs, the high-speed rail has proven successful, with 19.65 million passenger trips in 2023 and a daily frequency increase from 166 to over 200 trips. The expanding individual visit scheme will allow more mainland citizens to visit Hong Kong and vice versa, fostering a win-win situation for tourism and business development. South China Morning Post. Edward Chung, the executive Chinese chef at Peach Blossoms in Singapore, faced the daunting Michelin Guide Singapore Awards ceremony on June 27, 2023, with little hope of receiving a star. Despite the lack of a Michelin star, Chung has significantly transformed Peach Blossoms, turning it into a contemporary Chinese restaurant with a threefold increase in revenue since 2017. His dedication to customer satisfaction and innovative approach to modern Chinese cuisine, incorporating Southeast Asian flavors, has earned Peach Blossoms a spot on Asia's 50 Best Restaurants long list. Chung's journey, marked by perseverance and a willingness to take risks, has led to numerous accolades and high-profile collaborations, positioning him as a rising star in the culinary world. SCMP opinion. Engaging with the international community remains crucial for Hong Kong as it navigates its unique position under the one country, two systems framework. Financial Secretary Paul Chan-Mopa's recent delegation visit to France and the United States aimed to promote business cooperation and environmental protection, receiving positive feedback. The Bay-to-Bay Dialogue and the U.S.-China high-level event on subnational climate action were notable highlights, emphasizing the importance of direct exchanges to clear misunderstandings and bolster international confidence. Hong Kong's role as a superconnector between China and the world is vital, and ongoing dialogue and engagement are essential to maintaining its status as a global city amid geopolitical tensions. South China Morning Post: Chinese firms have increasingly offered credit to secure orders amid intense domestic competition, according to a report by Coface. In 2023, 79% of companies provided payment terms, up from 50% in 2022, marking the highest level since the survey began in 2016. Despite a reduction in average payment delays to 64 days, small businesses continue to face cash flow challenges. The textile and construction sectors, in particular, struggle with overcapacity and extended payment terms, leading to potential cash flow risks. The Ministry of Industry and Information Technology is seeking to address these issues with proposed regulations to ensure timely payments to small and medium-sized enterprises, highlighting the ongoing financial pressures within the Chinese industrial landscape. South China Morning Post: Washington commemorated the 35th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square crackdown with a series of events and statements urging Beijing to release political prisoners and address alleged human rights abuses. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken honored the memory of the peaceful pro-democracy protesters and highlighted ongoing issues in Xinjiang, Tibet, and Hong Kong. Blinken called for China to accept UN human rights recommendations and release arbitrarily detained individuals. Bipartisan lawmakers held public events, emphasizing the need to speak out against human rights abuses. Former and current lawmakers referenced the political changes in Hong Kong, where annual vigils have been suppressed. The State Department recently imposed visa restrictions on Hong Kong officials involved in implementing the national security law. Activists and former student leaders of the Tiananmen protests also addressed the gathering, while Freedom House reported numerous instances of dissent in China. The U.S. joined other countries in commemorating the protests, despite Chinese government opposition to such actions. The Toronto Star: In Vancouver, activists have shifted their annual June 4 candlelight vigil for the Tiananmen Square massacre to David Lam Park to accommodate growing attendance. Mabel Tung, chairwoman of the Vancouver Society in Support of Democratic Movement, noted that younger protesters are motivated by the recent suppression of dissent in Hong Kong. Social media footage from Hong Kong showed police arresting an elderly man for silently referencing the massacre date. Foreign diplomats in Hong Kong marked the anniversary with symbolic gestures. Tung highlighted that some new Hong Kong immigrants to Canada are participating in the vigils for the first time, driven by the inability to do so in their home city. In Toronto, activists plan a vigil and march, emphasizing the importance of overseas communities in continuing the resistance. Sherry Wong, an activist with roots in both Canada and Hong Kong, stressed the need to build on past movements and maintain the fight for democratization. Foreign policy: Chinese military leaders exhibited unexpected aggression at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore, with Defense Minister Dong Jun threatening Taiwan with destruction if it pursued independence. The summit saw China accuse the U.S. of attempting to create an Asia-Pacific NATO, reflecting strained relations with both Taiwan and the Philippines. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's surprise appearance further challenged China's support for Russia. The aggressive rhetoric, possibly driven by internal political needs, mirrors past instances where Chinese officials displayed zeal to protect their positions. Despite the harsh tone, practical talks with the U.S. aimed to maintain military communication. However, the aggressive display risks escalating tensions, especially in the South China Sea. Australian Broadcasting Corporation: Hundreds gathered in Taiwan to commemorate the 35th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square crackdown, a stark contrast to the silence and arrests in Hong Kong. Taiwanese President Lai Ching-te vowed to keep the memory alive, despite China's branding him a dangerous separatist. The crackdown, which killed hundreds or possibly over 1,000, remains heavily censored in China. In Hong Kong, where public commemoration was once allowed, heavy police presence and arrests have stifled any remembrance since the imposition of the national security law in 2020. Despite the crackdown, individuals like theater worker Sang continue to find ways to remember and honor the victims. Associated Press. U.S. Congress members commemorated the 35th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square crackdown, warning that the Chinese Communist Party remains as ruthless as in 1989. Representative Raja Krishnamurti highlighted that Chinese leader Xi Jinping might resort to violence to achieve his goals, echoing the brutal suppression of the Tiananmen protests. The commemoration included former student leaders and younger activists, emphasizing the shift in U.S. policy from engagement to competition with China. The events included a candlelight vigil and speeches, with figures like Nancy Pelosi urging Americans to stand against human rights abuses. The State Department honored the victims, asserting that their courage would not be forgotten. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.